sure it's all for play for still?
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I'm in a bit of an echoey area today, so apologies if my audio is a bit different. But we wanted to come on and chat about Villa and Palace, our old nemesis, are the ones we can't get any head of steam against, Paddy. We're playing them tomorrow, and we could kind of do with a team that we can get a head of steam against.
Well, they have been a bogey team in recent years. But in the league, we've been pretty solid enough at Villa Park, so there's no reason why, given what's goings have gone on at Crystal Palace and the fact that they've had to play a Conference League game during the week as well, will hopefully stand us in good stead. Obviously, they've lost Eze as well, which is a huge loss for them. But as we know, they've got players there that just love to turn up against Aston Villa. Just bitterly disappointed that can't use my season ticket because the FA, in their absolute, choose my words,
Wisdom, Paddy. It's before watershed.
7 o'clock on a Sunday night. Like, do they care about football fans? They only care about TV. It absolutely galls me that they would do that so close to kickoff as well. When I knew it was going to be 2 o'clock. So for the second time in 4 home games, so that Spurs game, 2 games before the end of the season, and now 2 games into this season, I've lost a flight thanks to gobshites that run the Premier League and the absolute power the TV have over our game. And yeah, as a result, I can't get there. I possibly could have booked a later flight home, but would have had to leave midway through the second half, and what's the point at that stage? So anyway, enough about me. Just a little bit of a rant about the Premier League and how much they care about football fans. They only care about who's buying subscriptions from the TV companies because that's their bread and butter. But there you go. How are you, Neil? Are you all good?
I'm grand. I was going to say, look, you're entitled to another rant every so often. Like you're not known for anything, Paddy. I'm joking. Yeah, look, Palace, it's an interesting one, Paddy, that you mentioned there, because everywhere I've looked from a Palace point of view with regards to, I suppose, like they do reference the fact that, look, Oliver Glasner has the Midas touch over this Aston Villa team, but a lot of them are kind of saying, I don't know whether we'll have people who will be, like, first of all, they reference Eze being missing, and they're like, I don't know whether this team will be, capable of I won't say capable, but you kind of know what I mean. They're worried about the Thursday, Sunday. They're worried about the Thursday, Sunday for this game. They're also worried about not having Isaiah, not having someone in before it. Who starts there? It's probably going to be your man Devaney, who's a confident young kid. I like the look of him. As we know, he scored against us before. It looks like Kamada will probably come into that midfield area as well, I would say. But they still have their 3 centre halves. It was kind of half open that Mark Gray might not be there for this game, which would have been nice. I was kind of half
still a possibility. It's not over yet.
I would be absolutely blown away. I would be blown away if he is stood down and not playing tomorrow. But I would imagine he'll go on Monday. But I would be blown away if he wasn't playing tomorrow. But Ismaila Sarr is there, so that means we're at least going to start 1-0 down with Ismaila Sarr being there. So as we know, he always scores. But I'm joking. I'm being facetious when I say that. But look, it's a tough game for us. Obviously, at home we're a much better animal. Looking to extend our unbeaten home run to 20 games, I think, in the league. So that's a positive as well. And Crystal Palace coming off the Thursday, hopefully they inherit our post-European blues that we've had since we've been in the competition. And as a club, they're not used to doing this. So I know they have a manager who is, but as a club, they're not used to doing this turnaround from Thursday to Sunday. So hopefully, and once again, that this is all clutching at straws from that point of view, hopefully that has a massive bearing on what Villa can bring to the table, and bring to the table early, because we haven't started games quickly at all this year. We haven't
Yeah, we've been bang average this season, unfortunately. I know it's only 2 games in. Not overly concerned about the Newcastle game. I think it was important we got out there unscathed and got something out of it. But last weekend was grim. It was a hard watch. And look, we big him up when he's done the amazing job that he has, but he still hasn't found a way of getting this team to break down that low block. Palace will do exactly the same. A 3 at the back, converting to a 5 out of possession. There's going to be 2 sitting in front of those. It's debatable who that's going to be. I think Will Hughes is doubtful, so we'll just have to wait and see who they pick. Who unpicks that lock at this stage? You've got to think he freshens it up. You've got to think that Malin comes in, possibly Gesson comes in. We've seen Morgan Rogers is visibly carrying an injury. Just to my naked eye looking at it, it seems he hasn't recovered from that injury he picked up in pre-season. So is it time to let him have a rest and possibly bring in one of the others? I think so. Something has to change. Something has to give. We can't concede like we did against Brentford either. We've got to be scoring the first goal. If we don't, we suffer. And that's the way we've seen over the years. It's become really, really hard for this group of players to break down that low block. And that's the way football's gone. Until somebody comes up with a way of changing or working out how everybody breaks it down. It's not just us. There's very few games, I should say, in the Premier League looking 4-0, 5-0 anymore. Unless someone is scoring early and then they hit someone on the break again and they're building on it. But even at that, there's teams parking the bus to a damage limitation exercise. So we're going to have to find a way to beat these teams. We're going to have to find a way to beat them in that we're not caught off guard high up the pitch like we were last weekend. So who is that person? Is it Asensio? Is it Paqueta, who we've been linked with in the last few days? We'll just have to wait and see. But something will have to give. I don't see where there's space even at the moment to give Asensio that kind of freedom in front of a low block, because where did he put it? Ollie Watkins is non-existent, and that's not me giving out about Ollie Watkins. When you're in that position, 3 centre halves, two wing backs, there's no room for him. 2 fellas sitting in front of him, sitting in behind him as well. No space at all. So it's how we unpick this lock, but we've got to be secure at the back, and he's got a few tough decisions to make there, because we can't make the poor decisions that we did last weekend of playing that high with Pau Torres caught 1-on-1, and that's me talking too much. So I'll you for a second. I'll take a drink.
You're right, and you're right, and I would not be surprised to see Pau Torres on the bench tomorrow with Mings and Konza back in there, because we do have Richard Konza back, which is a huge shot in the arm. Missing Kamara, missing Onana is big though for us. I think we'll probably end up seeing McGinn and Tielemans there in that position. But you mentioned about leaving Rodgers on the bench. That's what I get to hear is I don't think we can. I don't think we can with Kamara and Onana out. I think and Barkley out. I think you have to play Rodgers, but I think what we do is we play him down the middle, we play Gesson left, we play Malin right, and don't overthink it. Don't overthink it tomorrow. That's my view on it. And if things aren't going right, or if we need to, like Bogard, I think will be held in reserve, because he's going to be the reserve centre half. Sorry, he won't, because Pau Torres will be there, but he'll be the reserve right centre back, he'll be the reserve right back, and he'll be the reserve defensive midfielder in there as well. I think Tristan Rowe will be on the bench as well, but like, if it's a case of Matty Cash gets injured and you could bring on a right back, you're bringing on Lamar Bogart. If then it's a case that, let's say, John McGinn picks up a niggle and you have to move somebody else into the 6th position, you're moving Bogart, you're bringing on Tristan Rowe. There's a hierarchy there. And I think that's, like, we can all, like for me, and this isn't for you, Paddy, I think this is just for me, that I sometimes have to stop myself and go, there is a hierarchy there. We can pretend it doesn't exist, but it does. And it's there, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And we can talk about, like, for me, I could be sitting here going, oh, would they pull something here and play a 3 at the back? They're not going to do it tomorrow. If they do it tomorrow, like, and watch me, you know, the first time I advocate and I say that they definitely won't play a 3 at the back and don't throw it out there going, they might play a 3 at the back like I normally do. The first time I do it, they might go and do it. But like, as I say, I don't think they will. It's going to be 4-2-3-1. I think that there's a situation here where you just don't overcomplicate it. You put McGinn and Tielemans in that role in the 6s. You put the 3 lads behind that I mentioned, behind Watkins. Maybe if you want to start Buendia and maybe sit Rodgers to bring him on for a bit of impact. I think that's the way they have to go. I think George Hemmings will be on the bench. I think Bradley Burrows will be on the bench. I think Jim Oloba will be on the bench. I think Tristan Rowe will be on the bench. And I think what we will see is, and the reason I say that is because in his press conference, he name-checked those guys, except for George Hemmings. Name-checked all those guys. So I think that they're very much in his plans for tomorrow. And they probably should be, because he can't name 3 goalkeepers on the bench tomorrow. Or can he?
Well, he can if he doesn't have enough to fill it. But I think we're in for a very busy Monday, be that in loans or signings or whatever's going to happen. Or maybe it's today. We'll wait and see. But I can't imagine his mind is going to be on too much else other than beating Crystal Palace tomorrow, which is another talking point that, we're moved very close to that transfer deadline window, in that we've got to have a recovery session early on Monday morning. So if anybody is to leave, come in, it's going to be very, very difficult. And the transfer, I think, is moved to 7 o'clock. Is it the transfer window?
7 o'clock, yeah, 7 o'clock on Monday, yeah, which is a pain in the absolute nads for me. I'll be on holidays, and there's no hope in hell I'll get on. I was hoping it'd be 10 o'clock. That would mean it'd be 11 o'clock Spanish time. So I was there. I could finagle something. Kids will be in bed. I'd finagle something between 9 and 11, but it'll be well after the Big Ben tolls by the time I'll be able to get on to do anything. And yeah, as I say, it's I expect activity though, but we'll probably get onto that, because later on tonight, guys, I meant to say it at the start, 2 bits of broadcasting information. Later on tonight, we're going to attempt to do a phone in again. As you know, this is the home of the phone in. We did a phone in about 5 weeks ago, and we never did one since. And they're good. They were good crack. I've also gotten a new phone that people can ring in that I've plugged into my system here. So at least it won't overheat like the last one didn't, cause absolute carnage. So it should be up and running and good. So we're going to do a phone in later on tonight around 7:45, 8 o'clock that way. And it's simply going to be a question. The question is going to be, what do you not understand about this, or what do you find most confusing about this off season? And we don't know the answers, but we're going to try and figure them out together, all of us. And I think it's going to be a good conversation. So join in for that as well. The other thing as well, guys, and I've mentioned this before, for a limited period of time, we do have a podcast sponsor on board with us, and that is NordVPN. So if you guys are looking for a VPN, please look in the bio below, or look in the description is below. There's information about the VPN. I'm also just going to play something here with regards to the wonderful benefits that NordVPN do offer. If you're streaming outside, this is for a limited time only, to try and allow us to not have to fork out our own cash to put on one of the events, or 2 or 3 maybe events that we're looking to put on in 2026. So with that in mind, here's a little something on NordVPN. And we're back, and we're going to talk a small bit about Crystal Palace after this. See you in a second. Hey everyone, today's show is sponsored by NordVPN, the VPN service that's got your back online. It's the Boubacar Kamara of VPNs. In this digital world, your privacy is under constant attack. Hackers, trackers, and nosy ISPs trying to intercept your data. But with NordVPN, you can encrypt your connection, hide your IP, and browse securely from anywhere. Whether you're streaming your favorite shows, working on public Wi-Fi, or accessing content from abroad, NordVPN's lightning-fast servers ensure no buffering or slowdowns. Plus, for us football fans, it's perfect for catching those Premier League matches that aren't broadcast in your region. So switch servers and you're in. I've been using NordVPN for months, and it's a game changer for peace of mind. Right now, grab their exclusive deal. Head to nordvpn.com/FTLoPM to get a huge discount on their 2-year plans. Over 70% off when you sign up at nordvpn.com/FTLoPM. And with a 30-day money-back guarantee, there's no risk. Villa fans, don't get caught offside online. Secure your win with NordVPN today. So thanks everybody to NordVPN, and if you are looking for a VPN, please check out the information in the description of this podcast as well. So Paddy, we mentioned about Crystal Palace, and their Thursday, Sunday kind of schedule that they're going to have coming up. They've found out their opponents in the Conference League, And you just can't fucking escape them, Paddy. Sure you can't. You just can't escape Crystal Palace because they're going to be knocking on your door, or well, you're going to be knocking on their door come around Christmas time as well, because your beloved Shelbourne are going to be playing Crystal Palace in the Conference League as well.
Yeah, as our good friend Kevin Hunter messaged me yesterday to say, I bet you Shelbourne beat Crystal Palace before Villa do.
And actually, just as you mentioned on Kevin Hunter, wish him all the best in his recovery as well. If he is watching this as well, Kevin had a bit of a scary moment, wish him all the best in his recovery. I won't go into too many details on it, but if you're watching, Kev, best of luck with it.
Yeah, so I will see, despite the fact that the Premier League have robbed me of my flight tomorrow, I will see Crystal Palace in Dublin against my beloved Shelbourne, who got into the Conference League group stages this week. For those of you that don't know, I grew up less than a mile from their ground. Both me and my son go often enough. They play on a Friday night here in Ireland. I'm just filling time here while Neil is obviously dealing with a family matter. So big draw for Shelbourne, and it's a cash windfall of epic proportions, because to win the league here in Ireland, you get about 300 grand. The Conference League will probably put north of 3 million into the coffers, which is absolutely phenomenal for a small team here in Ireland. So looking forward to seeing what the fruits of that money does over the next few years for the club.
Absolutely, it's absolutely massive. And the first time that Aston Villa have had two clubs, that Ireland have had two clubs in the league phase of a European competition as well, which is massive. Jesus Christ, Mark Willis, thank you so much. Wow, Mark, if that's a mistake, let me know.
Mark.
Genuinely, let me know. But thank you so much. That's absolutely incredible, Mark. I really appreciate that. That's Jesus.
Cheers, Mark.
Yeah, I'm genuinely lost for words of that. Thank you so much. But hit me up because I'm always worried that somebody hits an extra zero in instances like that. So please, if it is, let me know. We'll get that back for sure. But the first time in Ireland has had two teams in the league stage, which is great. And I'm going to this piece, but Ireland were, I think, unfairly docked the team in Europe this year, where Drogheda weren't allowed to be in it, where other teams were allowed. Actually, it's pretty similar to Crystal Palace being moved down to the Conference League. The reason that Drogheda weren't allowed in there as well. So it's a good way to stick two fingers up to the powers that be from the Irish League, to have two teams in there, especially Shamrock Rovers. I know you guys had to go through a couple of games, but beating Linfield twice, or four times, should I say. I think Rovers had the harder trip to go to Santa Clara in Portugal, but listen, well done to the League of Ireland and that. But getting back to I suppose Palace and Villa, you know, it can't be underestimated that, like I said it before, players you'll be hoping the Palace players won't be used to Thursday, Sunday, even though their manager is, because we have a manager that's the most used to Thursday, Sunday, like the most used to Thursday, Sunday of any manager, I would say, in the whole of Europe. Given the amount of time his teams have played in the Conference League and the Europa League. So it's difficult for that. Do you envisage, you kind of, I'm not going to, when I say buy in, I don't mean that in a negative way, but you subscribe to the theory of things like, if body language isn't right and stuff like that. You know, you subscribe to that much more than I would. What's your view on the Thursday, Sunday? Why does it affect some teams and it doesn't affect others?
Right, I think it's about organisation. Having spent the last week in Seville walking around with a Villa t-shirt or a Villa shirt on, you see the input Unai Emery has had at a club like that, and people stop you in the street and tell you how great he is and to look after him and all this kind of thing. So he's obviously a very clever manager. We know that. Unfortunately, he's playing with one hand behind his back at the moment because of the absolutely ludicrous rules that are out there. When one team can be hundreds of millions in debt and still spend whatever it likes, and we're in the red or in the black and been run exceptionally well, the owners can't spend their money. It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm sure we'll get to that tonight. But it's all down to organisation, and when you haven't done before, which Oliver Glasner has, I believe, so he will have them ready, I'm sure. But what I'm buying into this one is there was a lot of pressure on that game the other night, much more than there would be on one of the league fixtures, let's call them, of the group stages. So they had to get through that. That was a huge money spinner to get through that game the other night. They got through it, albeit by, the skin of their teeth. So that they only won 1-0 in aggregate over the two games. So they're going to have a lot of relief, but they're going to have tired legs. They also had to travel. My memory escapes me to where that club are from. Norway, isn't it? Or Norway.
Yep.
So I think that will benefit us, given that it was their first time. I think we will see some heavy legs on the pitch from Crystal Palace, and I expect our guys to be fit and ready. But again, it's just this low block. How are we going to combat this, and how are we going to get over the line against these teams who just make it impossible? Now, bear in mind, we haven't been beaten at home in a year in the league, so let's see what happens with the game tomorrow and how he approaches it.
Yeah, and the low block piece, I think, with the three at the back, I think it's less likely that Palace play a low block, and that without Will Hughes being there, I think it's even less likely that there would be that the players would be naturally in a low block. Obviously, they will filter into a 5 at the back. That's why you play 3 at the back. That you can do that. But that's another reason why I think I would play Morgan Rogers in the centre with the two boys outside. I want Villa to have. Look, we can all agree on the point of predictability. There's a potential predictability. And last year and the year before, actually, we were saying, I was saying very much so, that I think Villa's biggest strengths was we were able to do things to teams, but they knew what we were doing, and we were able to do it anyway. When you lose that from your Arsenal, you need to bring that a little bit of unpredictability. And I think the most unpredictable thing that they could do is just have Malin and Gassand in there, because there's not an awful lot of teaching tape on these two guys under Unai Emery. And there's not an awful lot that a team could go, how do we game plan for this? And you bring those two guys into the team, and you have this element of surprise. I know that potentially Gassand is 12, 15, 18, 22 minutes or whatever it is off the bench. But I don't see why, other teams sign players on the Friday, start them on the Sunday, and Bob's your uncle, they end up fucking scoring goals. I think we should do that. I would be disappointed if we don't see those two guys in there. I'll be disappointed if he goes with Bogard and Tielemans. I think McGinn needs to move back into that 6 the way we are. If that doesn't happen and he persists to play McGinn on that right-hand side, I'll be annoyed tomorrow. I'll be disappointed, because we have this opportunity due to injuries that he can just do the thing that kind of will allow us to have a bit more fluidity and a bit more of a maverick spirit in attack. It may be catastrophic. It may go fucking wrong. But I think it's worth trying, considering we'll be blunt in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I agree. I'd have no problem with Malin and Gasson coming in there, or even if it's Malin, Gasson, and Emily Buendia in there. I just think something needs freshening up. Something needs to be done. Obviously, we're a little bit flat with nobody coming in to play in those positions, despite who's gone out. So it is going to be a strange one. I believe tomorrow. I see somebody saying that it could get toxic if we go a few goals down. I don't envisage we go a few goals down tomorrow at all. I think if they did score, if Palace were to score, they'd sit back and let us try and hit them. That's their game against the bigger clubs, and I see us as a bigger club than them, or the better team than them. So, even though they have had our number in recent times, especially in the cup competitions. Which I might add are completely different to what we're going to experience tomorrow. Look, it all comes down to who he picks in that forward line, the front 4, let's call it, the 3 in behind Ollie Watkins. I've no doubt that Ollie Watkins will be in there, but we're just going to have to do something different. You can't just keep complete the madness of repeating yourself and hoping to get different results. Something has to change and something has to give. And it's not going to be signings coming in between then and now, because there's nothing can be done. We can't put anyone else on the pitch, that it's too late. So we need the players that we have to step up and give us that little boost going into the international break. The god-awful international break shouldn't be anywhere near this stage of the season. So I hope it's done tomorrow. I hope we've got the 3 points on the board, because we could get out of sight very quickly with the group above us. We've seen Chelsea get a heavy helping hand in their first half today. So I'm not even going to get started on that now. That's for another day. But we'll just play our own game. We'll get points on the board, and that's all we can hope for.
Absolutely. Guys, that's going to do it for today's preview. My house is going to get wild really quickly, so we're going to end this abruptly. See you this evening at about 7:45, 8 o'clock for a phone-in. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.